We're opening up the mailbag. We're talking about Jayson Tatum's workout video. Oh my God. Jaylen Brown's video at the Patriots game. Ooh. And are the Celtics the smartest team in the NBA? It's all right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Beantown, be ever ready. It's the C's. Who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT, Karalis. Recap the madness every game, every practice. Prime time, Depp and D White on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising business, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners.
And welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here in the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. Your team is the Boston Celtics, and they are back. And I'm talking about them every Monday through Friday. Bonus podcasts when they play on weekends. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts. It's free. It's available everywhere. Become an everydayer. Join me every day because you're not going to want to miss a thing this Celtics season. I'm John Karalis, a beat writer for Boston Sports Journal. I've been doing a version of this job for about 20 years. I've written a couple books about the Celtics. So hopefully I'm your guy. I'm your source for all kinds of Celtics information and discussion all season long. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, you, a new customer, can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get 300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head over to FanDuel.com to get started. Today is a mailbag episode. Welcome to everybody watching on YouTube. Very excited to have, there's my graphic. Very excited to have you all aboard here. Mailbag questions, go to johnkaralis.com/mailbag, johnkaralis.com/mailbag. Mailbag Monday is going to evolve over the course of the season because Mondays are no longer just free and wide open. There may be practices. There may be other things to talk about. But I will still do mailbags throughout the preseason. There will be plenty of time to answer your questions, so keep those coming in. Later on, we'll get to the fun questions, which I like to save for the third segment, including the City Edition uniforms and team colors in general. In the second segment, we'll get to the Celtics being a smart organization and the Anfernee Simons comparison to Dennis Schröder. But I want to start, these are not actually mailbag questions, but they're two things that I think if people wanted to ask about, they probably would come in if it wasn't on like a Sunday. But I have to talk about two pieces of video. One, Jaylen Brown at the Patriots game. The other, Jayson Tatum releasing some video from his workout. Now, this was on his own personal YouTube page where he released like a 15-minute video about his recovery and all of that. So he included like 15 seconds. So I don't want to go too crazy, but it was 15 seconds of surprisingly mobile workout video where it obviously he wasn't going to put his whole workout on there, and it was spliced together to make him look good. But the jogging, it wasn't sprinting, it wasn't pushing off like crazy, but it was a nice paced jog. It was some step backs, like little light footwork, stepping like multiple like back and forth type of things, dribbling sideways, pushing off with that right foot. He looked really good to the point where I was watching the video in my living room, and I was like, "Oh wow!" And my wife from the kitchen was like, wondering what are you so like? What are you wowing about? And I said, "It's Jayson Tatum's workout video. It looks better than I expected." So I rewound it, and she walked in, and I played it for her, and she said, "Oh wow!" And her words were, "If you didn't know that he had an injury, would you question whether he was recovering from something in this video?" And I'd say no. I mean, I might question why he was only like showing us like little things, but the way he was moving, very encouraging. Now I saw him over the summer dedicating a new early education facility in Rhode Island, and he had a little bit of a limp. And, since then, obviously all of that stuff has gone away. It looks good. The video of him working out, I really don't want to overreact, but if you've listened to me on this podcast over the last few days, listened to I think it was one of the podcasts with Tom Westerholm, where I was trying to like not talk myself into him coming back this calendar year, but I'm looking at that video and saying, it's September and he looks like that. October, November, December, 3 months, 3 months of working out. Like, is that going to be enough? I do believe, like I have been saying, March as him coming back. I'm going to revise that. I don't think it's going to be all the way till March. I think it's February. And if I'm picking a target date, February 8th versus the Knicks, it's a Sunday afternoon. Lots of kids will be there. I think that would be a great target date. Right before the All-Star break, it would be 5 months of working out. So the recovery time overall is 9 months. It's well within the standard kind of comeback time. And even as I'm saying this now, February 8th, like I'm wondering if I shouldn't be looking at games in January. So I have to keep my head on straight. And again, just to throw this out there, because I can hear people typing their comments on the YouTube page as I'm saying this. Don't rush him back. Don't rush him back. No one's rushing him back. I am talking about fully cleared, fully everything, totally ready to play. And an element that I haven't discussed here is if he's fully healthy and fully cleared and ready to go, and the team says, no, we're still not playing you, the league, the NBA, could potentially step in and say, is Jayson Tatum fully recovered? Yes or no? What's the medical say? If he's fully healthy and you're holding him out of games, then you can't do that. The team could get fined for holding fully healthy guys out of games. So if he is cleared, I don't know how I can be any more clear about this. If he's 100%, no amount of waiting is going to make him more 100%. In fact, at some point, waiting too long makes him too rusty. You got to give him some NBA reps just to get him back and knock off some of that in-game rust. I think it's worth it. So I think he's coming back this season, and I think he's coming back earlier than I even expected. And I'm one of the optimists. I'm one of the Tatum optimists. Now, the other piece of video I have to talk about is Jaylen Brown at the Patriots game. It was very nice, by the way. CBS did not, I think, they did not, or it was Fox. It was the Fox Sports broadcast. They did not acknowledge that they said Mark Wahlberg is ringing the bell. Like, dude, there's half the Boston Celtics were there. Jaylen Brown is there. But anyway, Jaylen and a bunch of the new guys were at the game. There's a video of Jaylen throwing a football around, and you're like, wait a second. Jaylen's throwing that thing lefty. Why is Jaylen Brown throwing a football lefty? He's right-handed. And, you look decent for throwing the ball left-handed. And I'm like, he's not even like using his right hand to catch the ball. He had gloves on. He had the glove on. He kept the glove on the right hand. Someone threw him the ball, and he just only used his left hand. He kind of kept the right hand out of the way. I'm like, I checked Twitter, and people are like, should I be worried about his wrist? What's going on with his wrist? I have no idea. I have no clue. I have no idea why he would do that, why he would be throwing the ball around lefty. Is he doing it to mess with us? Is he doing it to kind of get people talking? Does he want this kind of reaction? Is he turning into a Joel Embiid troll? I mean, he's doing a lot of Twitch streams and stuff like that. Is he becoming like more online, trying to mess with us? Or is something up? I don't know. I didn't like what I saw. I wish I had more information on this. Like, what's up with that wrist? Now, Monday, as you're listening to this, maybe even is media day, and Jaylen will be up there. And if I don't get to it first, someone else will be like, hey, what's up with your wrist? That's going to be a question that gets asked and answered on Monday at the Celtics practice facility. So I'm looking forward to that, because I didn't like that video. I didn't like what I saw there. But I don't want to overreact that way, because it's like, could be anything. So, we'll leave it at that. Now, actual mailbag questions. We're going to come back. We're going to answer the question of the Celtics being smarter as an organization than the rest of the league. That's coming up next. Today's show is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. They have a nice little tasty flavor upgrade for your caffeine. Doesn't have to be a boring cup of coffee, which not everybody has the taste for coffee. These 5 Hour Energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bowl flavors, just 2 ounce, just a 2 ounce shot, as opposed to a 12 ounce cup of coffee. You get the same amount of caffeine plus B vitamins and nutrients, no sugar, no crashes. And it's just a little 2 ounce shot. It's very mobile for a guy like me who's on the go, constantly driving to a game, driving to, or flying somewhere. These little 2 ounce shots are very convenient. Just I can grab a whole bunch of them and throw them in my bag. And when I need them, just reach in, boom, bang, 5 Hour Energy, and I'm ready to go. It's going to get me past those really tough spots of been going all morning. I've been writing. My brain is like just racked. And this is going to get me through that lull in the afternoon. So you don't have to go with the boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5 Hour Energy shots. Get the favorites you love or be bold and try something new in-store and online at 5 Hour Energy. It's the number 5, hourenergy.com or on Amazon today. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Make sure you're listening to Locked On NBA and Locked On NBA Game Night. I am your Wednesday game night host with Jake Madison, covering all the big stories in the league on game night until the games start. And then once the games start, Jake and I were talking about every game, whatever games are played Tuesday night. You come check us out and we'll give you the whole recap. But that's a 7-day-a-week show. We got rotating hosts all week long. So check it out. And then the afternoon show covering all the big stories all year long. So Monday through Friday. Let's get back to the mailbag. Again, mailbag questions come in at johnkaralis.com/mailbag. Maddie has a longer question, but I want to include the whole thing because I love this question. Maddie says, I'm watching the ownership press conference and just keep having the most homerish and quite frankly, Massachusetts superiority complex-ish sort of feelings about it. Can you check me on this? The Celtics are a smart organization, in quotes, compared to the rest of the league, right? The front office does have a collaborative, hardworking, respectful, well-rounded, balanced, positive work culture, right? This isn't just press conference fluff. Obviously, there are a handful of other exceptionally well-run organizations. I love OKC, though my Massachusetts pride bleeds over to them as well. San Antonio operates as if it's a family and so on. But I'm not normally one who buys into corporate BS. And yet I regularly find myself nodding along to their press conference jargon, fully ready to make the argument that the Celtics are better and smarter and more measured and more equipped to build sustainably because of their respect for culture and history. Blah, blah, blah. Am I crazy or am I just being a homer? Please validate me. I love that quite. I love the entire that. Normally, I shorten questions like that. I encourage more concise questions, but this one, I felt like it built towards something. All right, Maddie, I'll validate you. Now, I think the Celtics are one of the smart organizations. Are they smarter than others? I mean, they're certainly smarter than some teams. You look at the Phoenix Suns. That's not the best run team. You look at other teams around the league and you can tell, you can pick them out. There are teams that are very, you mentioned a couple of them, OKC, San Antonio are very well run. These teams that are built, Indiana is well run and plenty of others. Like I think most of these organizations have really smart people involved. And now, some of the questions, first of all, smart people can make dumb decisions. I mean, I consider myself a smart person and I make dumb decisions all the time. So I'm certainly not one to throw stones. We all do it. And a lot of times those decisions are based on emotion or external pressure. And, you think you're doing something right in the moment and it's, you're like, oh God, shouldn't do that. So there are teams that make a bad decision, and it's because of ownership pressure or, fans, they give into fan decisions. And, some people are just, some front office people are just, they have something, a certain frame of mind in their head and they don't do the collaborative thing. Looking at Dallas, the Celtics are, as you put it, Maddie, a smart organization, collaborative, hardworking, respectful, and well-rounded. They are, I think, a very strong example of bringing a lot of different people to the table, a lot of different perspectives to the table, and respecting those perspectives. I think you see that in the coaching staff. I think you see that in the front office. I think you see that around the, from top to bottom. They, I don't know what the numbers are as far as like, different ethnicities. A lot of women work for the Celtics. There are different, backgrounds. There's like just, these are the types of things where you want different people from different walks of life to give their opinion and share a perspective that you wouldn't have and wouldn't even think of. The Celtics do a very good job of that. So they are among, I'm not going to sit there and say they are the smartest team because it is very subjective. If you want to say they're the smartest team in the league, I think you can certainly make a case. Most well-run team in the league, you can certainly make a case. And that goes from ownership allowing certain decisions to be made and those decisions being prudent. So I agree. I agree with everything that you're saying, Maddie. Maybe, you're at a 10 or an 11 and, I'm at a 7 or an 8, but I legitimately think highly of the way this team operates. So, there are a lot of times where I think I got things figured out. And then, Brad Stevens just pulls something. You're like, oh man, not even close to what I was, thinking of. And so covering this team is humbling because of how smart they are. So yeah, I think I don't disagree, even though, again, as a Celtics fan, as a Bostonian or New Englander, you have you want to take it to an nth degree. Totally fine. You're well within your rights to do that. I think that's validation. Michael says, not for any basketball reasons, but Anfernee Simons presents on the Celtics is giving me some real Dennis Schröder vibes. And it just feels like it's going to go the exact same way. People may not remember, but Schröder was instantly embraced by Celtics fans at the time, put up some good numbers, provided a real sense of hope. I feel like Simon's going to do the same thing, but at the end of the day, I think there are limitations. And just like Schröder, feels like he's not here for the long haul. So I can see situationally, not for basketball reasons, but situational reasons, I can see the comparison. I think one of the things that I was not the biggest, and I still am not the biggest Dennis Schröder guy, acknowledge that he's good. He's a good player. And put him in international competition, and he's incredible. But I will hope that the similarities end at style of play, because I remember a lot of Tatum in one corner, Jaylen in the other, Schröder at the top of the key running a pick and roll with, I forget who, and like end of game situations, it was Schröder. Schröder was taking these last shots, and you're like, buddy, we got Jayson Tatum on this team, man. You get Jaylen Brown on this team. Maybe you should find those guys. So I think there was a little too much of that. But yeah, I think Simons, the difference is also Schröder was acquired, I believe, via mid-level exception. If I'm not mistaken, it was like a taxpayer mid-level. And he had recently turned down a big offer from the Lakers, and the offers weren't coming in, and the Celtics kind of swooped in and got him at a real bargain. This is a little different. Simons makes a lot more money than Schröder did, but I think that's why there was a lot of instant hoopla when Schröder came in, because it became like, oh my God, I can't believe they got Schröder. He's not no great shakes, but he's still a pretty good player. You got him at the taxpayer mid level. What a bargain. That's insane that you got him for that. But they did ultimately have to. They had to move him by the trade deadline, because it wasn't he wasn't allowing Tatum and Brown to really grow. And so I don't think that Simons is going to have that same impact. Now, Simons might also be moved by the deadline, but for different reasons. I think if Simons is moved by the deadline, it's because the Celtics found a big man. I think that's Brad's kind of biggest goal this season. Can you pry a big man away from a team, a big man of the future, and use Simons as the guy to get that player in? If you save a few bucks, you save a few bucks along the way. But I appreciate that comparison. I think the situations are similar in a lot of ways, but the impact and all of that could be a bit different. So, but yeah, I like that. Okay, we're going to come back. We're going to talk about Celtics fandom, my, non-existent Celtics fandom, I guess, and the Celtics City Edition jerseys and all of that stuff, new team colors, all of that stuff. That's all coming up next. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. If you're a new customer and you got $5, you want to make that bet, you can get 300 in bonus bets if you win. NFL season is here. I remember last week I said, hey, Patriots giving up 5.5 points to the Panthers. I'll take that as my $5 bet. No problem. If you listened to me and made that your $5 bet, you'd have in your account not only the money that you won on the bet, because the Patriots just smoked Carolina, you'd have $300 in bonus bets right there. Then you could use that to do anything. You can build a parlay. You could have built a, Drake May passing touchdowns plus rushing touchdowns. he had both. You could have gotten whatever. So you can build in-game, same game parlays, all that stuff. So it just makes the games a little bit more fun. So if you want to sign up for FanDuel, do it right now. FanDuel.com, download the app. And once you sign up, they'll ask you, set your limit, set your budget. You do that because you don't want to go overboard. Gamble responsibly. Set your budget, whatever your disposable income, whatever you can afford to lose. This way you're just having fun and you're not going overboard. We don't want that. We want you to gamble responsibly. So go do that at FanDuel.com. Place that first $5 bet and you could get 300 in bonus bets. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Remember, tomorrow's show is going to be Media Day. As you're listening to this, Media Day might even be over. I will be there. I will be asking questions of everybody. This is going to be a flood of Celtics content. So get my stuff at Boston Sports Journal. You get it here. Plenty to talk about. So subscribe. If you're not subscribed yet, watch the show on YouTube, all that good stuff. All right, let's get back to the mailbag questions, and we're going to have some fun. Third segments are always a little bit of fun. Although Peter says, it bums me out a little bit that you and Tom Westerholm, who co-hosts with me every once in a while, so you aren't Celtics fans at all. I understand removing emotion from work is necessary, and I also think the Celtics can be very goofy. But you're telling me that when JT hits a spin move fadeaway jumper for the win, or Jaylen Brown posterized someone, you're not even excited for the team a little bit? It's not the same. It's not the same. Like, it's not what I used to be. Now, I've been very open and clear and honest about this. I grew up in Rhode Island. I cut my teeth on the 80s Celtics. I patterned my basketball game over after Kevin McHale. I was a huge Celtics fan. I went to games. I got drunk in the stands. I cheered. I was, there for milestone moments. And so, I started redsarmy.com. I was a fan blogger for a while. But for me to do this job properly, I need to remove the emotion. And so when Tatum hits that spin move, I don't have time to be excited for the team. Now I'll sit there and be like, oh, wow. I have reactions. I'm a human being. When Jaylen Brown posterized somebody, I look around on press row. I'm like, oh my God. You know what I mean? I have to have that kind of connection with how fans are reacting, but I absolutely need to be impartial. The Celtics, if in that scenario where Tatum hits the turnaround fadeaway for the win Did he bail out the Celtics on a bad night? Did Tatum make up for a bad night with that shot? Did something happen where I can't just sit there and be like, yay, oh my God, they're so awesome. I can't do that because to me, that lacks credibility. It lacks depth. And I'm not criticizing people who do that. There's certainly plenty of places. There's plenty of good, strictly fan reaction, rah-rah, pom-poms, loving the team when they win, crying about it, not literally, but like being very upset when they lose. Totally fine, totally valid. If that's how you want to celebrate a win or cope with a loss, go for it. To me, that's not my department, right? It's like a supermarket. I'm whatever you want to call me, the bakery department. There's a meat department. There's a seafood department. There's, different places where you can go into that supermarket of Celtics podcasts and be like, I want this, I want that, I want that. And I do hope you make me your first listen every day, but I understand that sometimes you want like that strictly fan, just celebratory thing. And look, there's plenty of room for celebration here as well, but I have to cut through. I have to be honest. And if I'm down on the team, I have to tell you that I'm down on the team. If they're losing, and I got to tell you why they're losing, I got to tell you that I just got to be honest with it because I want you to understand what's really going on. And frankly, that's what I'm good at. That's where I'm at my best. And so for me to give you a good show, that's what I got to do. And so I'm sorry that, I don't want to say I'm not a Celtics fan at all. I do want them to do well. I am happy for them when they win. But I also want to say that if I was covering the Detroit Pistons for my career, I would have the same thing. I would want them to win because I like good basketball, and I have to cover this from that perspective of, is it good basketball or is it not? And if it's good basketball, it should be celebrated. So luckily I cover the Boston Celtics. And so I want to celebrate them. So I hope that kind of clarifies things. Speaking of celebrating, Kevin says, what do you think about the new Boston Celtics City Edition jersey with the gold lettering and the white base? First time in years I've seen a Celtics jersey without the use of green. Okay. And he says, I hope the green headbands and elbow sleeves make up for it. I do agree. First of all, I love that jersey. I think it's their best City Edition jersey in a long time. I think it's really, really nice. It's simple. It's basically a Celtics jersey in gold. Could they have used a green to outline the letters and numbers as opposed to black? Sure. I don't mind that there's no green. As Kevin said, you could do green headbands. You could do green sleeves, green and gold or whatever, or however they want to do their tights and all of that stuff. You can certainly add those elements. It's okay if they don't have a little green in them. We know the Celtics are green and white. Yeah, every once in a while you can do an alternate that has like a slightly different color scheme. As far as I'm concerned, green, white, and gold, that's all very, Celtic, Irish kind of thing. So it all plays, it all works for me. So that's okay. In fact, I'll take it a step further. I want them to change their court. I've said this on this podcast before. When they wear the City Edition jerseys, there should be like a gold accented court. There should be a logo, like one of their alternate logos, even if it's the Celtics script in gold, totally fine. You should mix that in a little bit. Have some fun with it. Don't say like, oh, history and blah, blah, blah. Celtics didn't have that logo on the floor until the mid 70s. All that run, Bill Russell, all that history, even through 1974, when they won a championship, there wasn't a logo on that floor. There are plenty of Celtics champions. Most Celtics championships have been won on a floor with no logo. And then they had the green and white Celtics logo. And then that changed to a green, a white background and colorized. And then most recently, it's gone to without the white background. So the logo has changed plenty over the years, including having not been there at all. So mixing in a Celtics court, still parquet floor, just a gold alternate logo. I think that would be sweet. It'd be awesome. A couple more here. Ruben says, what section and row in TD is the best to have the seats right next to the tunnel where the players come out? I think it's section 20 because I'm in section 19 and I'm on, if you're facing the tunnel, I'm on the left side so if you're facing the Celtics bench, there's like my section, the tunnel, and then behind the bench, I think it's section 20. And obviously you want to get a little closer. I don't know what numbers, but obviously you want to be on that one end. You can see it on the map, the TD Garden. If you're looking straight down at the TD Garden map where the Celtics benches are on the bottom, if the Celtics benches are on the bottom, it's at like 5 o'clock. If the Celtics bench is at the top, it's like 10 o'clock on the map. So that's the section you want to look at. And Francis asks, why do you think there needs to be more color variety in NBA teams? Seems like there are too many blue and red teams. And why are there no teams with green jerseys except for the Bucks and Celtics? It's an interesting question. Well, when the Sonics come back, they will be green. So that'll be another team. And if they add an expansion team in Vegas, I don't know what that team will be. That if they do black and white and gray, if they are kind of like Vegas, because the Aces are black and white and the Raiders are in Vegas. Maybe they just kind of want to do that. But yeah, look, it's tough with colors. It's tough to find the complementary colors. You want to get something that people are going to wear. So you can't get too crazy, and you don't like purple is so Lakers. You got Lakers and Kings. So there's like only a couple of teams that you can do like purple. Hornets have purple and teal. You gotta be careful with the combinations. You don't want to go too crazy because you want to sell merchandise. And so it has to be basic. People like blue, people like red, people, you don't want to go too crazy. You can't have a pink team. Purple is tough as a primary color because not a lot of people wear purple. So you got to do another good color with that. But black and red, like that's easy. Oh, we're not talking about green. Dallas Mavericks have green in there. Well, they do blue, but they have a green like alternate color too. So yeah, I don't know what other color schemes. It's not easy. You can't get too crazy with it. If I had a color scheme, I don't know if I would go like how I would do it. And you also got to be careful of like not going too trendy. Because if you get too trendy, you end up being like stuck. Oh, purple in Toronto. Because I was thinking about Barney the dinosaur. They named themselves the Toronto Raptors because Jurassic Park was big and Raptors was a thing. And like, that's why they're the Raptors. I don't think there's a big like Raptor exhibit in Toronto. Is there? Maybe I'm wrong, but that was right around the time of Jurassic Park. They named themselves after a movie. You got to be careful about, and I like the name. So I think they kind of got it right. But you got to be careful about being too trendy. What are you going to do? Brown? What are the colors? Yellow? It's like you got to match that with. There's only a few colors you can really match that with, and that's already like the Pacers. It's already like you have purple and gold in LA. You got to be careful with that stuff. You could do orange, Phoenix. Yeah. So there's not much that you can do color wise, but I don't know. Get in the comment section. Let me know if you started your own team, what colors would you pick? Do that. All right. Again, Monday's media day. I will be there as you're listening to this. If you're listening on Sunday night, then tomorrow is media day. If you happen to pick this up on Monday, I will be there Monday morning at media day asking all sorts of questions to everybody. All the highlights will be here on this podcast. So make sure you're subscribed. Watch the show on YouTube. Get into the comment section. Would love it also if you shared the podcast. Spread the word. Tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.